People in Ukraine, as well as people here in Canada and around the world, observed a grim milestone today, 1,000 days of war. And there are renewed calls tonight for more support of Ukraine in its fight against the Russian invasion. Al Sweeney is at a vigil being held for Ukraine here in Hamilton tonight. He joins us live with more on this story. Al.
Matt, people have just started showing up here at Holy Spirit Ukrainian Catholic Church on Barton Street for this vigil. It's a candlelight vigil, and the organizers say it's about more than supporting Ukraine during its war with Russia. It's also about protecting the free world, including Canada, from Russian aggression. In Ukraine's capital tonight, a sea of candles marking 1,000 days of war. 1,000 days since Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered his invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy told the European Parliament their support is vital to the people in his country.
Thank you for ensuring that not a single one of the 1,000 days of this terrible war became a day of betrayal of our shared European values.
Here in Hamilton, a vigil to stand with Ukraine at Holy Spirit Ukrainian Church, calling for 1,000 candles for 1,000 days.
It's amazing that Ukraine has held up for 1,000 days. From one sense, Putin thought he could just take Ukraine in 3 days.
Ukrainian Canadian Congress President Elena Lazar is calling for more support for Ukraine in the war, saying Ukraine is stopping Russian aggression against Europe that could even reach across the Arctic into Canada.
Right now, they're protecting all of us, including Canadians here, and all of Europe, because we know Putin won't stop just with Ukraine.
But as leaders of the world's G20 countries meet in Brazil, Prime Minister Trudeau expressed disappointment in the group's communique on Ukraine that says states should refrain from using force to acquire land, while Trudeau blames Russia for creating worldwide insecurity.
Rising energy prices, on disrupted supply chains, on uncertainty and insecurity for people around the world that are worried now that the rules-based order no longer holds. So yeah, I would have wanted to say things a lot stronger than in that communique.
And with U.S. President-elect Trump waiting to be sworn in again in January, there are fears he will back away from supporting Ukraine in the war.
I really don't know. I hate to think that Ukraine would be forced to concede, because we know Putin will never stop. He will never be happy with a little chunk.
While the Ukrainian Canadian Congress says Ukrainians in Canada are doing what they can in the face of the war.
They are keeping strong. They are staying strong. There are all kinds of efforts to raise funds for humanitarian aid. They're still strong.
So these folks, as they arrived here, they're still coming. They're standing here on the steps with their candles, holding a brief ceremony. Now, as these vigils are being held, the war in Ukraine is escalating. Ukraine is reported to have fired U.S.-supplied long-range missiles into Russia for the first time, while President Putin is making new threats about the possibility of using nuclear weapons.